evening, everyone. We are here at the Fayette County School Corporation Board of School Trustees Business Meeting. We are here at the Administration Building, Tuesday, May 11th, 2021, 6:30 p.m. Calling the meeting to order, and we'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just for everybody who is present, we have one board meeting who is with us via, I don't know, phone? Is that what you are, Chris? You're on the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Dennis was not able to be here tonight, so. Okay, we've got a wonderful recognition to begin the evening. Mr. Collins, I'm going to have you do the honor.
Thank you. Shayla Crawford. I want to introduce you to Shayla if you don't know her, daughter of Angel and Jason Crawford. And Shayla's a senior at CHS, and I want to highlight just a terrific young lady and representative of Fayette County School Corporation. She's the Lilly Scholarship recipient, going to Purdue University to study agricultural sciences, correct?
Yes, sir.
You haven't changed your mind on that right now. But she's also done something that Mr. Nobby made us aware of that was quite a success at the FFA level with state championships. So would you come up, Mr. Nobby, and just share a little bit about the significance of what she's accomplished?
Well, Shayla's done a lot of things this year that are just tremendous things. Like, first thing was she is a district star in ag placement. So out of all the people in our district, which are the surrounding counties, Rush County, Union County, Henry County, Randolph County, Delaware, and I'm missing one, Wayne County. Of all those, she had the best SAE, which is basically an internship where she's learning about a job and a career in those counties as a job. So she won that one, which is a huge honor. Then she won two district, what we call proficiency, which is an application based on her involvement in that, looking for her future career, trying to decide those plans. And those were in forest management and wildlife management. So she won those two at the district. And then she took those two on the state with another one she won last year. And she won the outdoor recreation at the state with the work she does out of Mantelope Park, and wildlife management with what she does out of Mantelope Park. And those two will both go on to the national convention essentially in June, and they'll compete on a national level. And looking at them and talking to people at the state, she has a very, very good shot of doing very, very well at the national level. And my recollection and all the digging I've done, I don't know that we've ever had a person win two of those in 1 year. We've had many state winners in the past, but never two in 1 year, so it's quite an accomplishment. And she plans on running for state office, which is basically a year-long internship with the Indiana FA, where she'll travel along, hopefully she'll travel along the state and meet business leaders and elected officials and FA members from all around the state. And she'll find out if she gets that in June. She's the first one from Connersville to do that since 1997. So to even apply, not to get it, to apply. To get it was 1979. So it's been quite some time since we had someone from that here, and only 5 in the history of Connersville. So it's a pretty short list there. So she's got some big shoes to fill, but she's very, very capable.
Oh, thank you.
Go Shayla.
Shayla, I'm going to put you on the spot. You can take that mask off if you want, if it helps you. But can you talk a little bit about what you do at Mantelope Park? And I know you to receive the Lilly, it's more than just submitting an application. They look at your body of work. So I just want to highlight some of the things you've done that really, some great stuff you've done as a student leader for Fayette County Schools.
Yeah, so especially like with FFA and things like that, I don't come from like a farming family or anything like that. A lot of people think that's like all farming all the time. I did not come from the farming world, so going into that, I had no clue what I was coming into for sure, and I've definitely tried to make the best of it. But out there, it all started, I did proficiencies last year, so I won the district and everything. I ended up getting second in state last year, but it's like mowing and things like that, which I really enjoy doing. Just learning about who I want to be in the future and like what I want to become. So it really helped me like kind of decide, hey, I want to do something in ag career. This is where I want to take my life in the future. So it's just helped me figure out the person I want to become, essentially. So.
Do you know what you want to do?
So originally I wanted to do public speaking because I really like talking to people and building relationships with people and things like that. Right now I just have narrowed it down to ag sciences. I'm thinking along the lines maybe pre-vet, something like that, because I think that would be pretty cool. But I don't know. Hopefully I get this state office because I know that'll help me decide, hey, I want to become this person and meet all the people that can eventually help me as I become older and learn things about our county and Indiana.
That's great.
You have some folks here with you. Did you want to introduce who you got here with you?
So obviously I definitely couldn't have done any of this without my huge support system. So my dad is sitting there in the back.
Hello.
Mr. Judd has helped me with everything I could ever need, for sure. Mr. Dobby and of course Megan have always she's the one who's always letting him make sure that we can do soils and things like that, learn the different things that we want to do, and then my mom and my sister here in the front.
Any other question? I interrupted.
I happen to know a former state officer in FFA.
Mm-hmm.
She is my godchild's niece. It's been several years. She landed a job with a agribusiness company, and she does extraordinarily well, shall we say, financially. She gets to travel literally all over the world, and she would not have had this opportunity had she not been a state officer, and her family was in the seed corn business, which made it a little bit easier. But this is a tremendous, just going from that family connection, what wonderful windows you have opened for yourself. We're excited to see what all this turns out. You know, that's super.
Mr. Judd put you on the spot here. Anything else you want to share with Shayla, or just?
I will just say that CHS is very proud of her. She came in my office last week. Mr. Nobby gave her an extemporary, how do you say that, Gabe?
It was a pitch, sales pitch.
Just gave her a topic. And she had to come up with a speech, 10 minutes or so. Within 25 minutes, she was in my office giving it to me, and she wanted me to critique her. She's going to be doing that off and on regularly until it's time to go to contest. She's a joy to be around. You can tell when you put her on the spot, you really didn't put her on the spot. She's a very good public speaker, and I think a lot of that is a tribute to Mr. Nobby and his program through the FFA. They really work a lot with public speaking, so very proud of her. I didn't mention it, but if she does become a state officer, the Lilly Scholarship is delayed for a year.
Yeah, it's one of the only reasons they delay it. So they see it as a pretty big thing to become a state officer for FFA.
Given us data on Lilly scholars who are FFA members?
Oh yeah, so I was actually talking, if you guys know Riley Loper from last year, she was also the FFA president, so now we've had 2 FFA presidents, which is pretty cool. But I found that like it was over like half of the people that our Lilly scholars do something with FFA in Indiana. So that's kind of a huge thing. That kind of just shows how much this program is helping our youth in Indiana. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Great.
Judd. Anything else for Shayla? I just want to say thank you. We're very proud of you and look forward to hearing about all your successes. I think you're a shoo-in just from we're very biased, but you got a very good shot. So, and I want to thank Mr. Nobby for the support you've had with my own family and nephews, and and just the impact you have with kids too. So, congratulations again, and thank you for being such a great representative of our school district and CHS.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you are free to go unless you want to stay for this just exciting meeting that we're having.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, we will now move on to have a motion to approve the agenda as submitted and amended.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Ann. Any discussion? All those in favor, and All those in favor signify by raising your hand or say aye, Chris.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Chris. Okay, we now move on to patron comments on agenda items. We do have a patron comment, but it's not on an agenda item, so you'll need to wait till the end of the meeting for the other patron comment period. This is just for those related to agenda items, and seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes from the regular business meeting of 4/13/21, personnel report including retirements, resignations, leaves of absences, etc., approval of the April 2021 claims number 58949 to 59167, the appointment to the Fayette County Library Board, and donations. A gift valued over $2,500 from Community Voices on behalf of Riley Loper to purchase feminine hygiene products and dispensers to CHS. A donation of $500 from Showalter Blackwell Long Funeral Home to CHS to be used for a senior scholarship. A donation of $500 from Whitewater Valley REMC to WCC to purchase 4 portable canister dust collectors for the construction technology program. A donation of $35,225 from Communities That Care to Grandview Elementary to be used to purchase an LED color graphic sign. Wow. Okay, lots of great donations. We're always so excited to welcome those. So I'd like to seek a motion to approve the consent agenda. Thank you, Jeremy. Do I hear a second?
I will second that.
Thank you, Chris. All those in favor signify by raising your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. We're on to action items, personnel report. Mr. Harris.
Good evening. Number of personnel recommending to hire, and just I think a little bit of difference even in past practice because our world is changing. Typically, we probably would be hiring a number of teachers this early. Usually it's in June and July, which may happen if we have openings, but we've tried to be extremely proactive this year and get some positions filled. So I'm recommending Scott Caldwell as an English teacher at the high school, Karen Hockersmith, mental health and student wellness coordinator at the high school and the middle school, Kennedy Jones, recommending her as an elementary teacher at Eastview, Jacob Kirchhoff as a math teacher at the high school, Megan Nobby. A side comment, maybe we're getting finally the better part of the family, I don't know, but Megan is here with us, and Mr. Nobby, I'll just, I noticed you're nodding, that's what I'd be doing, but, Megan is out there, so Megan Nobby is an elementary teacher at Eastview, Nancy Red as health careers teacher at the Career Center, Courtney Stevens, elementary teacher at Frazee, Keith Wilson as an elementary teacher at Eastview, and Melissa Wydurka to teach integrated chemistry and physics at the high school. Classified staff recommending Janice Baker as a bus assistant and Vanessa Willis as a Head Start floating educational assistant at Little Spark Preschool. Then extracurricular, Alyssa Harmeyer as 7th grade volleyball coach. And then you have a list of the recommendations of staff members for summer school this summer. So that's my personnel report and recommendations.
Okay, well, that's an exciting personnel report. Some familiar names on there. I'd like to seek a motion to approve the personnel report.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Lori. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeremy. All those in favor signify by raising your hand or say aye.
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 Motion carries. Purchase of walk-in freezers. Mr. Harris.
This is another one. We actually purchased a couple of freezers back in, I think it was December, and this is adding to it out of the purchasing out of cafeteria funds, but I'm recommending that we purchase a walk-in freezer at Frazee Elementary for $23,617.34, and another one at Fayette Central for $22,847.34. And the main difference in the price is simply the installation. It's a little bit different between the two. but we're coming to the board, even though technically probably could have separated these, they're not $25,000 by themselves, but the fact that we're purchasing them together, just wanted the board to pre-approve those, so that's my recommendation.
Okay, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the purchase of the walk-in freezers.
I so move.
Thank you, Ann. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, approval of the food service management company. Mr. Harris.
The next one, we sent out a request for proposal, we advertised it. I actually had a response from 4 different food service vendors. Pretty much all of the big companies that do this kind of stuff. And on April the 27th, we had opening of those proposals. I want to thank Ann and Leslie, as well as Scott, for being part of the committee here. And when it was ultimately said, we had 1 full proposal, and that was submitted by Chartwells. I have taken their proposal and submitted it to the state of Indiana. We went back and forth a couple of times, but ultimately, the DOE also approved of that, and I am pleased to recommend that we retain Chartwells as our food service management company for the next 5 years. While this is actually a 1-year contract, then we will seek renewals, but we don't have to go out for the request for proposal every year for the next 5 years. It would simply be a simple renewal process. If you would like to see their proposals, I will tell you, it will take you more than a couple of minutes to look at it. Not only are we highlighted in there, but all the Chartwells do. They came prepared for any competition that showed up. They wanted to do their best, and I am pleased with what I've seen since I've been here, and likewise equally pleased with their proposal. So I would recommend that the board approve them. And we also have Rachel O'Brien, who's the food service director here within the district, and
Did you have any highlights of anything you wanted to share with
Yeah,
some goals or plans? Yeah.
just really quickly. So there are a few things in the proposal that I'm pretty excited about for the next 5 years. We are looking into hopefully upgrading the high school cafeteria at some point, remodeling that into more of a college-like feel. It's still kind of stuck back in the 1980s, like it is in here, I guess. And I think the kids would really enjoy that. And then also adding some digital signage at our high school for the kids to see menus daily on that. We had also talked about upgrading the food pantry at Little Spartan and making it more of a grocery-like atmosphere. So when we're able to have people come back in again, it's going to feel more like a grocery store instead of just some shelving that's randomly set up with food on it. So I think that environment makes people feel more welcomed. And then we also talked about in the proposal the Mood Boost, which is a new concept with Chartwells at elementary schools. You have different Moodies. They're kind of like I don't know how you would want to say it, like emojis, and they represent different moods and different feelings for the kids. So you kind of take what the kids are going through in their day-to-day life, and you have these 6 Moodies that represent different feelings. And then you tie that in with food. So we would like to do that here in the next couple of years also. And then we're also looking to remodel the middle school, hopefully, here soon. So we have kind of a lot going on, and I'm kind of excited about it. So. And I just like to say this is my 13th year with the school corporation, so I've been here a long time and I've enjoyed every moment. So.
And Rachel, remind me, were you here before Chartwells?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was on the committee to explore food service
Right,
companies,
that's awesome.
and I was here for 3 years with Fayette County. So yeah, been here quite a while.
So a success story where she was a Fayette County school employee, Chartwells hired her, and now she's our director and does a great job, so.
Yep.
And
I enjoy it.
Chartwells kept everybody that wanted to be,
Right.
so it wasn't. I mean,
It's been all positives for me and
Yeah.
a few other people that have really moved up within the company.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Say, well, it wasn't necessarily part of the project, but we should be back to you in June about some ideas for the middle school. So it's already in the process.
Well, I don't think you're gonna get any argument from us about the benefit of having Chartwells, so.
They've done a fantastic job feeding kids under very, very difficult circumstances this year.
Yeah.
Converting the school bus into the little diner was great. and just having the availability for so many of our kids who are dependent upon the school lunches. You know, it was apparently not much problem for you to feed these kids during the pandemic, and that's very much appreciated, because for a lot of these kids, if they don't have Chartwells at lunchtime, giving them food, they don't have food. So thank you so much for going above and beyond during this very difficult time to make sure that the kids in Fayette County were fed.
And also, Scott, I know you shared, I don't know if it was when Everton's power went out or something, but whenever we have an emergency situation, you let Rachel know, and boom, they are on it providing food in that moment, wherever it's needed, so.
Yeah, always, I mean, that's always, they can always come up with a cold alternative, something that doesn't need the power out
Yeah.
there. So, yeah, our kids do not go hungry. And with all the fruit and vegetable options, you know, where kids can eat all those they want at their meals too, that's huge for
Yeah.
a lot of our kids. So, you know, we're very pleased with them.
They learn to eat fruits and vegetables.
Yes, they do. All right, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the food service management company.
I so moved.
Thank you, Ann. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lori. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Everton Library Project Professional Services Agreement.
Okay, this one is new as far as coming to the board, but I know this has been a project discussed for many, many years, and it's still in the very early stages, but I am requesting approval to enter into a professional services contract between the school district and Tim O'Rourke of HPH and Associates. The purpose of this agreement was to begin developing plans to add a library inside of Everton Elementary School. Tim's a structural engineer who's brings his skills and others necessary. He's local. The contract amount is for $34,550, but what it would really do is begin the conceptual concept of how this would look, what it would be. The school district is in a time when, with our finances and other things, it may be very beneficial to do this, so we're looking to use some ESSER funds for this contract and to move forward this. So I am excited about it. I know Mr. Collins and I and Mrs. Casaro, we've had some good discussions, and we look forward now to bringing those discussions more public and creating a project down there that we could move forward. So I'm seeking approval to enter into a contract with Mr. O'Rourke and company.
I would clarify a couple things too. With the ESSER fund, and this is for the public too, as part of the trillions of dollars that the federal government is sending out for various, you know, the $1,400 checks that went out to many families, and, you know, our schools have received millions of dollars to help with different pieces of that it's really, you know, doing some major HVAC work and renovations, but it's all tied into school safety, creating safer spaces for kids. So Trish Fields is here, and she's our contact person working with the DOE on getting approval for these, but our goal would be to fully fund this out of the ESSER funds, because if you've been up to the Everton Library, it's a little portable classroom that the kids do not have sufficient room to spread out and socially distance very well at all. And then it also, that's aging and it's showing its age. So this would create space within our building, which would save significant funds. And that gym is much bigger than all of our other elementary gyms, so we would still have a playing surface similar to Eastview or Frazee, even by adding this, and create some really unique space in there that we would want to give our teachers and Everton staff input. But this also includes the architectural, the design. Tim works with these groups, so this fee covers all those costs, so they can start conceptually taking our feedback and putting together ideas, because we really want the school staff and Mr. Jennings to have input in how do we want this laid out and how does it best benefit our kids if the board decides to go forward with it. At this point, we just need to see some conceptual work and see how feasible it is and what kind of costs. So really, that's what you're giving us permission to start that work with them.
Can you share the timeline should this all come together?
Ambitiously,
Yeah.
and that's just all talking with Tim. is they're gonna have to, if they go forward and you all approve a plan, they're gonna have to dig into the gym floor 3 feet to get down below that frost line. They wanna trench that out and get the footer poured over fall break if we're ready to go. If not, it would be kicked to Christmas break probably. And then if they can get that done, then the floor would be smooth and safe. The kids can still use the gym as it is. And then at winter break, the 2-week break, construct the 12-inch wide block. They're gonna need to use 12-inch instead of 8-inch because of the support that that's gonna carry. So when you go into the gym, they would create a new entrance, that's his thinking. So there would be 2 double door entrances into the gym, and then it would just look like a natural part of a block wall all the way up through the ceiling. And so then that side of that would be the new media center. So they would hope to get that block wall up in that 2-week period, and then all the rest of the work is painting, carpet, shelving. There's no major construction other than Mr. Jennings would like to have a couple of remedial intervention rooms. They just don't have a lot of space where teaching assistants or special ed teachers can pull kids into small groups. So they want to create 2 of those rooms at the front entrance to that. So then kids would enter from the hallway where the double doors are now and just walk right into a hallway with the media center with, we hope, like cathedral ceilings, a nice big open area. So ideally, it could be done over the winter, which is a great time for folks in construction who want to work indoors. And the noise wouldn't be an issue because they're not building a lot of things. It's more of just painting, interior finishes. So that's an ambitious thing if this can go forward, but we're still in the early. We just need your permission to see how it's going to work and if it's feasible.
Well, I'm thrilled. Let's do this. Okay, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the Everton Library Project Professional Services Agreement.
Madam President, I'd like to make that motion.
You're going to second that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, approval of the 2022 Teacher of the Year.
That'll be me.
That'll be you.
Yes. This was one of the fun days today. Mr. Judd made that comment when Cindy and I went over to visit with our Teacher of the Year for the secondary level for this year. As you may recall, last year, our Teacher of the Year was Christina Airy, who was a 4th grade teacher at Eastview. However, the state, the Department of Ed, claimed all teachers were Teachers of the Year. So Christina will move forward as our elementary Teacher of the Year, and she was already approved by the board last year, so she'll carry that crown over. She reminded us of that, and she's still the reigning elementary. But Miss Scarlett Lux, life skills teacher at CHS, was selected by a committee led by Ms. Corsaro to be our secondary special Teacher of the Year for 2022 for Fayette County Schools. So we surprised her today, and it was really neat. Her kids were so excited, and it was such a neat time. So I'm submitting to you, Ms. Scarlett Lux, as our secondary Teacher of the Year for Fayette County Schools.
Okay, I'd like to seek a motion to approve that nomination and selection of our 2022 Teacher of the Year at the secondary level.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Lori. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, now we're on to discussion items. First up is the alternative school, Mr. Collins.
Me again. Megan Gilman and Trish Fields are here. I'm going to ask them to speak. They're part of a leadership team and working with high school, middle school administration and staff. We're really trying to find a way to help support our kids who are coming in. We started something called a bridge program several years back to help support our 8th graders going into 9th grade who high school may have been a challenge going in, and then kids start moving into the high school and they start getting behind in credits when they really struggle in some of those core academic classes. So this came through some discussions about what can we do. We have a really great building up here at Magic Moments that we want to utilize. So this plan was sort of kicked down the road because of COVID a year. We were working on some ideas last year, and then COVID sort of shut everything down. But I did want Megan or Trish to come up with both just to share a little bit about it, because we're really trying to focus on 2 groups, our incoming freshmen and then our seniors. So I don't know who wants to, I sort of threw this out, can you come in and share, because you've been more involved with the planning of it.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you tonight. I'm just really, really excited about the alternative school and the opportunities that this will afford some of our students next year. So I thought I'd give you just a bit of background about how we started planning, and then Megan and I will share what the program will look like next year, and then you can ask any questions you may have. So a group of 7 of us, like Scott mentioned, the middle school and high school principals, Mr. Harris, Mrs. Corsaro, and Megan and I started meeting in the fall and met monthly and then eventually weekly to plan for this program with the idea of what can we do to stop some of the dropouts that are happening at the high school, losing some of those kids toward homeschooling and toward the online schooling. And so we narrowed it down to a group of, 2 groups of students who we felt like were most at risk of dropping out of school. And those would be our 8th grade students, like Mr. Collins said, those bridge students. And what we're hoping to do, though, is take the idea of the bridge program and take it a step further with the alternative school. So with the original bridge program, the students would spend half day at the middle school, and these are the 8th grade students who are repeating their 8th grade year. They'd spend half the day at the middle school and then the other half day at the high school earning some elective credits. So when they come in as freshmen, they'll kind of be ahead of the game. So what we decided with the alternative school is to, instead of having those students go back to the middle school for half the day, they'll spend that half the day at the Spartan Learning Center. Are we calling it that yet?
Right now we are, it's not official.
Okay, so we'll spend half the day there, and to me, this is one of the best parts of the program. They'll get 3 full hours to work on the two classes that are typically most difficult for those freshmen coming in, and that's the English 9 and Algebra 1. And so they get 3 hours to, extended time to work on those classes. Plus, we'll also have a curriculum to focus on the study skills, the planning and the organization and planning for projects and time management and all those skills that a lot of those kids really struggle with. That will be a real priority. So lots of supports for those 8th graders so that when they come in as freshmen the next year, they'll be credit ahead. Hopefully have already passed that math and that English course that are so difficult for those kids. So I think that's a great thing. So that's one group of kids. Then the second focus group will be those students that we identify this year as juniors who are already 5 to 10 credits behind where they need to be to graduate as seniors the next year. And so they would come in as kind of credit recovery students. And I didn't mention, the kids will also be working with a certified math teacher and a certified English teacher. So, and teachers' aides if we're able to pull that together as well. So, and the seniors will also have that opportunity. We also plan to have some online supports as well. So hopefully by the time those kids get to their senior year, they'll be on target to graduate. And then the other piece to the program that I think is also critical is the mental health piece. And that's what Megan was going to talk about tonight.
I'll share a little bit about, so we understand that those students that are moving into those programs we identify as at risk might need additional level of support that's not available to all students. So we have we already entered this past year an agreement with Centerstone. So they support one of our elementaries. We're looking to expand that next year to more elementary schools and then targeting this Spartan Learning Center as a group. And in addition, the position that Mr. Harris mentioned earlier, the mental health wellness coordinator, that position will be based out of Spartan Learning Center to be giving that direct one-on-one support and small groups. So leading some of those executive functioning small groups and then one-on-one sessions with her, working on some of those life skills that are sometimes a roadblock to success in school. And then moving that position beyond just that student, but connecting to the family and the community. So if it's the parents that need help, this position would also give that layer of support beyond just the school day. So it's an added piece.
I have a question about homework. So I know a lot of our kids don't do homework, the kids that are falling behind. And I'm thinking about the 8th graders that would go I don't know how far you've thought this through, if they go in the morning to the high school and then they come out to the Spartan Learning Center in the
You'll have two
afternoon.
cohorts that'll switch.
Okay.
10 in the morning and 10 in the
Oh, okay.
afternoon, same with
Just
the-
wondering how much will be required in terms of homework? Because we know that these kids struggle in the daytime, just doing the work in class, and then to add homework. I just wondered if, because at first I was thinking, oh, if they were at the high school in the morning, then whatever classes those are they then going to have opportunity when they come to the Spartan Learning Center to do, and have some support there besides the English and math? Because if these kids are struggling, what classes are they taking at the high school that they're going to be able to be successful at? And then come over to do math and English, which they'll have lots of support in the Spartan Learning Center, but what about those other classes and how, I don't know if that's.
I'll tell you my take, and you all correct me certainly, but with having teaching, and this is another piece that we should be able to fund through those federal dollars with the student, with getting students caught up. Trish has the first round we're getting ready to submit to the state for approval this Friday. But with the teaching assistants there too, and they're gonna have those large blocks in the morning or afternoon, that would be an ideal time where they can get that extra support for all their classes. I mean, that was when Ken and I talked. I don't know how that'll all work out yet, but I think the level of support will be there to support them all day. I mean, is that what you all were thinking?
I think they'll definitely get additional support, and then any of our identified students, because it's not based on disability to go to the Spartan Learning Center, they additionally have a basic skills block at the high school, on their high school time. Because that's when they get their special ed minutes, so that's an additional time where there's an adult checking in, doing assignments. So being able to build the support for maybe the unidentified students, we can target those at the Spartan Learning Center with the aid support and the wellness coordinator to work through that.
And I think the high school counselors are also going to be strategic in helping those kids plan their schedule so that those elective courses will, complement and not overwhelm those kids that eighth grade repeater year.
We're also hoping that those kids will be able to return to the high school for SRE. And get help
Okay.
in those classes they may not be doing very well.
Okay.
And so the incentive here for these eighth graders is if this really works for them, which we're hoping we believe it will, then they could catch back up to their peers in their grade cohort. That would be our hope, because if you're doing the math, high school people, if they're only getting 2 credits in that morning session, if they're going to Spartan Learning Center, they'll take 3 courses in the afternoon, so that's 5 each semester. So they can successfully complete 10 credit hours that year. They're on pace to graduate with their core 40, with the 40 credits. So that's our hope, is that we'll find a way to do that. So that's a motivation for them as well, to get caught back up, right? I mean, that's our hope.
And I
with
think
all
a
the
huge
levels.
motivator right now for a repeating 8th grader is not to have to go back to middle school. So I think that's a built-in, no offense. Sorry, but I mean, to watch all of your cohort move forward.
And after spending 30 years in middle school, holding those kids back just does not necessarily work well at all. It just makes them angrier, and they're already angry to begin with. My question is, a lot of our kids struggle academically, but their academic struggles are as a result of a lot of environmental factors of which we have very little control sometimes. How are we going to be, is there an element of this program to help these at-risk students develop more social skills, more coping skills, because they'll just get frustrated and just quit, because that's what they've seen and that's what they've done. And so I think the mental health aspect of it becomes incredibly important. If you look at the kids that graduate from Connersville High School and how many of them actually finish college, if you talk to them academically, a lot of times they're okay. But it's the rest of the life skills that they struggle with. And And I think we need to support our kids, teach our kids those skills. Ideally, they learn them in the home. We know that that does not happen in every home. So I think it's incumbent on us to try to engender those kinds of skills, how to get along with people, how to hold a, is there going to be anything in here where they can take classes if they're interested out into high school at the Career Center? Because a lot of kids really like that hands-on approach to learning as opposed to the more academic approaches. And they blossom in that environment because it's not just books, it's doing something. And certainly those kids do incredibly well in life because we need people with those kinds of skills.
And this is set up for that, I don't want to speak
So
negatively.
yeah, it's kind of two fronts. So the life skills and the mental health, that's why we're kind of double dipping that. So as they enroll in this program, we are having meetings with Centerstone to go ahead and open you at the same time. So if you're not open with services, we want to get you in services, community health services. That's layered on top of the built-in mental health through Ms. Hopper-Smith, who's been recommended to be running those small groups on maybe executive functioning or what is grit, or all of those skills that you need just to be a successful adult. But then built into what you said about the WCC, by front-loading these 8th graders, WCC doesn't take kids that are credit deficient. So by front-loading them, hopefully by their sophomore year, they're eligible and credit ready to be accepted into WCC to explore some of those more hands-on learning, which we know sometimes can just be a better fit for kids.
I mean, academics aren't it for anything, and I think particularly the 8th graders are just, it's difficult being 14, 13 anyway, and you don't quite know what you want to do, and giving them the opportunities to explore and find their preferences, help them find a strength, and it's been my experience that a lot of kids just didn't understand that they had a strength because they've struggled so for such a long period. So we've got to find a way within the confines of what we do to give them some success. And I'm not sure 3 hours of English and math is the way to do it, but I think it has to, you have to catch them up, but I think you've got to be real cognizant, and that's why I like the idea of the small groups and the aides going in there. Because if you tell a kid they got to do 3 hours of math, wrong answer, it's not gonna.
And it wouldn't be 3 hours of lecture. It's
right.
going to be a lot of that.
Interactive,
Interactive.
yeah.
So with that,
Life skills.
how many do we anticipate having roughly out there, students?
It'd be 10 students per teacher, so we'll have 10 8th grade students in one room with the teacher, and then the 10 the juniors and seniors in the other room. So 20 students at a time in the morning,
Okay.
and then
So
20 in the afternoon.
let's
So
look at
40 kids total the first year. That's our goal, is to have 40 total to support that first year.
But it'll just be 20 at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, 20 at a time, hand chosen
Uh-huh.
out of
Yes.
each grade.
And we haven't spoken to the kids yet because we wanted to talk to the board first before.
So you said juniors and seniors, so it's,
I should have said that,
Okay.
I'll say it's actually,
So I
we
have a-
select in their junior year and then they would.
right,
senior
and then
senior.
if this goes well, is there talk about making it a full
Larger.
alternative for middle and high school? Because, I mean, particularly this year, this is probably not the year to look at to determine how students are managing their high school, but we all know that it's been not a great year for those kids. So, but I'm sure, Mr. Judd, that you see signs sophomore year, before they get to junior, that you're already identifying in some way those kids. So I hope that this is a great success so that we could include other ages, other grades.
It would just, I'm ambitious and they have to slow me down a lot because, yeah, we like to catch everybody, but if we can get 20 kids as freshmen, hopefully those 20 kids are not the 20 kids that Mr. Judd and his team will be, challenged with in their sophomore, junior years.
Yeah.
So can we, I don't want to get way out there because this is the big dream, but, let's look at different hours where we have evening hours for some kids to come in and do some courses. Because some kids, they don't function under the normal 7:30, 8 o'clock schedule. How do we meet them on their terms, or how do we work with kids who, who need to work or support their family. We have kids who are providing a lot of support for siblings, and so we're trying to be creative. But right now, this is our first endeavor. It's not an official, I want to be clear, it's not an alternative school like you may hear about. Richmond has the Excel Center. This will not be a school with its own school number. It's going to operate under the high school. So it will be, these students are still Carnesville High School kids. Some of these other schools, they will move some of the kids who are at risk into these alternative schools, and then they take them out of their data and out of their accountability. We're not doing that. We're trying to keep the kids grounded in, so if they want to play the band or sing or participate in extracurriculars, they're Spartans. They're going to be a part of that. So, we're excited about giving this a try and learning from it and hopefully growing it. So
This is really cool because we're doing things now on the other end with the Little Spartan Preschool, and I'm so excited to see longitudinally how these kids that have had the 2 years of preschool now, they're starting kindergarten this year in the fall, and see how they progress. And hopefully if Little Spartan Preschool and programs like that work as they ought, by the time they get up to 8th grade, we have different needs, but right now there's this huge gap that this is an ambitious start, but wow, that's just really cool.
Let me add even to the programs, that part of it, the academics, but going in conjunction and through ESSER funds, this hopefully will be the last time I mention the former Magic Moments building, though we really do want it to be the Spartan Learning Center. We've already taken one room in there and converted it mainly for professional development, and we're doing a lot of things in there administratively. But we're looking at, I didn't realize what a task this is, but we're looking to truly turn that into, I'll call it an adult building, but one that's attractive to high school students. Most of it's paint, new flooring, but it's also, if you'd ever been in there, it's also removing all of the mini sinks and the mini stools and all of that kind of stuff. So it is a project, but we want it to be different than a high school, but we want it to be a place that is welcoming and that a high school student would want to come into that building, not coming in there going, no, we're going into the little kids building. No, it's truly going to be renovated and become Spartan Learning Center. But I think it's going to be an excellent facility, both for the alternative school, but also professionally for the adult staff. There's going to be a lot of activities that we use there for the teachers and the administrators and everything else. So I'm also excited that we can use ESSER funds to renovate that building for the ultimate purposes of the alternative school. So it all works together.
with some creative seating and the lounge, this type of things that kids would gravitate to. iPod or charger stations for phones and their Chromebooks. We're going to have food service over there too, and we're going to have a multi-purpose room where the kids can go and eat together. And so hopefully it's a safe environment kids want to come to and build those relationships will be a key. So anyway, it's exciting. I appreciate all the work that's taking place with that group, and I think it's a way to try to reach our kiddos. And we'll be presenting data and see how it goes this year, and hopefully we can expand it. That's our goal.
So are you hoping for it to be up and running in August then, or is that what you're hoping?
Yes.
Good. Good. Oh, that's great.
Yep. They've been doing a lot of great work. I can't say
Thank you
enough
for
about
all,
it.
thank you for all the hard work.
So one, to just make you aware of the public aware of what we're trying to do. I like the way you said the front loading and then,
Yeah,
adding
I mean,
other layers.
it's just, and 8th graders are such, we always used to say that 8th grade was our last chance to get them, because if we didn't get them high school ready, they were too close to being able to drop out, and it was too easy to drop out, those really high-risk kids. So this is going to be, I think, a really user-friendly situation to these kids, and less intimidating than traditional high school, which I think just really intimidated a lot of the kids. So this is fantastic. I wish you well, and I hope it works well for everybody, because it's a win-win for a difficult group.
I'm in favor of it, but I would like to see if we could get some updates. So if this does launch and everything, we start in August, maybe we can get an update a few months into the school year to see how it's going.
And the plan now is Trish will be located over there, so she will be the mom in charge over there, right? So
You bet.
But it's building that connection to kids and giving them that safe spot. And that relationship piece is huge. And I know Leslie and I, that's something you hear a lot, but that's key for these kids.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
All right.
Well, let's go on to updates and proposals for the Resource Center property.
All righty, so I know we have a gentleman sitting here, thank you. But I just want to update you and the public. The Resource Center, there were a few individuals or groups that had expressed interest. I've shared those at previous meetings. Currently, there is potentially one business that may be interested, but I haven't gotten any firm information from them. But we did publicly advertise per Indiana code the demolition costs, a request for proposals for demolition of that. Just, the board had asked me to find out, let's see what it would cost if we can't find an owner. And our bid opening was this week, was Monday, and we didn't get any proposals, which surprised us. So Randy is going to work with our attorney, Michelle Cooper, and Brian Hensley, our facilities director. What's the next step? And, I think Brian's going to reach out to some of these, why didn't you bid? I think a lot of these companies are just so busy right now, they don't have time to take on a major demo project for one. But he's going to try to find out what's going on, and then do we need to repost? Do we need to change something in that? Do we need to change the timeline? Because I know I talked about this a while back. This is the worst time to ask a company to come in and probably do it in the spring and summer if we're going to do something. So maybe if we put the timeline into the fall, or once the heavy construction season's over. But that's a big building to tear down, and it's built. It's not like knocking down Kmart. Kmart's pretty much a block building. This is 3 stories with a lot of concrete.
A lot of steel.
So we don't know, but I just wanted to update you on that. So we did put the information out for the public, and one gentleman, Mike, you want to come on up? Mike Corney, he has expressed interest. They do operate a 501c3. So, and it does meet the guidelines for educational, recreational purpose per our Indiana Code. Our attorney reviewed that. So, Mike, I appreciate you studying through this.
No problem.
And, what's your
More, Mike. Thank you.
So what I did is ask if anyone has a proposal. It's a time for the board to hear the ideas.
Yeah.
And then to ask you questions, because for us, this is my 2 cents, is whatever happens, that may always be viewed as a Fayette County School Corporation building. If it falls into disrepair, people will say, why aren't you taking care of that? And then stop the board at the grocery store and say, why aren't you guys taking care of that school building? So it's really, is this a potential opportunity? So I'm going to be quiet, let you share your ideas, and then you all ask questions or whatever. Thanks, Mike.
Well, good evening. I appreciate y'all listening to me. And I appreciate all y'all. That's an awesome program, by the way. And that's kind of, I run, the first packet here is the Freedom House Ministries. We're the soldiers in the arm of the Lord. We just got incorporated 2 months ago. We were under Faith Builders Ministries, which Ken Fuller, he's the president. I'm not a business guy, so we've just launched off. We come chartered under another 501c3. We are behind Grandview School at the moment, the old Faith Christian School. We took it over last year, and we've outgrown it. But I run the Freedom House Ministry on Central, which it's all tied together. And what it is guys coming out of incarceration, out of addiction, out of guys come from Recovery Works or Meridian Arc in Richmond, and it's a transitional living home. And kind of what you were just talking about with the children, first and foremost, I give them the good news, the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're a ministry. But then I deal with their soul, which is our mind and our will and our emotions. And I get their mind renewed in Bible studies, but not only that, I teach them living skills, I was a drug addict. I graduated high school here in '91 and became a drug addict, got in some trouble, and for a lot of years I was a functioning addict. And my heart, 5 years I've been clean and sober, don't wrestle with it, I'm free, you know. And all this ministry is based on John 8:32. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free, which is the word. And but we have kind of grown into we're an outreach ministry for the community. My wife does clothing and furniture ministry for people coming out of incarceration, or we've had some house fire people, and we've been able to, you know, clothe their whole families just from the community giving to this ministry. But we started also educating. We teamed up with Higher Praise, Pastor Richie Ware. That's where we go to church, and we started a community youth program a few months ago, and didn't realize just how much it would grow quick. We've outgrown the building. There's probably 50 or 60 children every week, and there's another parent comes to me every week and says that they're amazed because these kids are opening up that have, you know, been reclused, you know, went back in the corner. We live in a, you know, social media society, so, but they're opening up, and they're excited about Saturday night going to the Impact Youth Group. So, and I've got a couple pool tables and an ice hockey table for these kids to just hang out and enjoy themselves and fellowship. Then they have service, which it's not just the Word of God, you know. Our secretary from the church came last week and shared about sex trafficking. We had a young lady that comes every week that her father had sex trafficked her, you know, and she's opening up and sharing, you know, what happened to her right here in Connorsville, you know. So it's just, if we had this building, you know, we got a building now, like I said, and the bills are paid every month. The house that I have for the men on Central, these guys got 2 weeks to get a job when they come in, and they keep that house, the bills paid in the house. There's 4 of us that we split the bills of the ministry, and then we've got some partners that partner with us monthly from different churches around Connorsville. So as far as, we're not held to probably the standard that you all are. You know, that building it needs a roof. But I'm fairly confident, you know, I did construction for 20 years, and I'm fairly confident with a couple other guys' expertise that we can repair the roof to get us by for, you know, till we can come up with the funds. And Richie, my pastor, he told me once we're in the building, he deals with grant money. And he said he assured me that there'd be grant money to back what we're doing. So, you know, we're just what we are. We're just we're driven with love and compassion. You know, like I said, I was born and raised here, so was in a broken home, and I understand with these guys I deal with every day, and some of these children. I understand the brokenness that's in our community, and sometimes, as you all are putting these programs together, and they're great, but we just can't never have too much, right? So, and we're, you know, like I said, our main goal is spreading the good news, the gospel, and then we also I got saved years ago in jail and never had a father. So, you know, what we're trying to do is reach the fatherless, you know, the least of these, you know, that's who we're after. Not saying that, I mean, we want to reach everybody, but we're just trying to come out of the walls of the church and reach the community. That's all. You know, it's an outreach ministry, which Pastor Ritchie assured me that you know, they're behind us 100%. So, you know, I believe it would be a good thing if we had this building and, you know, like I said, the guys that I have at the house, at any given time, I got 6 to 8 guys at the house. And part of the program would be, they would maintain mowing, taking care, janitorial services. That'd be, see, that's, to me, that's part of them giving back and learning how to, you know, give instead of take, you know, so it's all hand in hand, so. Any questions?
What do you foresee, it's a very, very big facility. There's 3
Yes.
floors and all kinds of multi-purposes. What do you, if you were to get this building, what do you foresee doing with the, say, the old classroom space? The gym's pretty easy to deal with.
Yes.
And some of the other things. Would you incorporate all of your programs into the one building? Or would you just basically increase your outreach? It would be the purpose to increase the outreach.
Well, what I'll do is, yeah, we'd put everything in the building. There's the old shop area where the garage and everything. It's got the cage in there. Obviously, that'd be perfect. I get food every couple weeks from JTM in Harrison, Ohio, and we've got multiple freezers that we just help out anybody in need. But the building I'm in, I wanted to start. You know, I want to reach the elderly too. You know, a lot of people go to Parkview and they go to the Maggie's and they'll sit around and just hang out and drink coffee. Well, I thought about giving them an environment where just on donations that they come and hang out and you know, it just they're not having. We're trying to reach out to the lost. But what I mean, the main floor there, the one wing, you know, could be clothing and furniture ministry. Then a rec room with pool. We've got 3 pool tables, but we've only got room to set one up where we're at. But with the number of kids that are coming, and then my wife and you see Shalina and Ryan, they're doing the youth ministry belt. Well, they've got a few kids that have just graduated college that are offering to help tutor kids and just, you know, just help out, be a friend, you know. And I actually, the 3rd floor isn't finished out up there. And I had talked to Bill McDaniel the other day about, that he was supposed to get back with me, about maybe putting the Freedom House in the 3rd floor. But, you know, I'm sure there'd be quite a bit of renovation that'd have to be done. But eventually that would, I could foresee that being the 3rd floor. They would be, you know, take care of the building. It had an old kitchen downstairs in the back, which could, all the plumbing's there, it could be put back. Just, there's so many possibilities. There's a lot more possibilities with that building versus where I am now, you know.
Just space-wise, yeah.
Yes.
That's huge square footage.
Yeah.
Current funding, I know you mentioned that the church said there are a lot of grant possibilities.
Yes.
And you mentioned that the Freedom House right now, the guys that work, they contribute to help pay all the utilities and all that good stuff. And then you get donations from some churches. I'm sure that when you were shown the facility, you were probably told the costs, the kind of the utility costs.
Yeah.
And so do you feel confident, I mean, I don't even remember what the costs are, but if you're still operating the Freedom House, so that's still, those people are paying for that, so they're not gonna be contributing to this building per se at this point. Do you feel confident, and you know, are churches committing, and will they commit to the same amount, and how do you foresee the funding?
Yeah, I'm confident. I wouldn't have stepped up here if I didn't think we could take it on. I just started a business running Hot Shot, and I went from, you know, making pretty good money to now, you know, it's, you know, the $17,000 a year to keep that building up. And another thing is, with the furnaces, the different furnaces in there, I think you can control it to where, you know, you wouldn't have to, you know, once every house got put in there, I think it would be the bills would, you know, go up, but substantially, but as far as the watershed's $1,000 a month, you know, I obviously wouldn't be paying any taxes on it, so, I mean, I don't see no, you know, no reason why we couldn't keep it up, you know.
So short term, you're looking at keeping your Freedom House separate?
Short term, actually, Ken, Faith Builders quick deeded us that house. So we own that property.
Okay.
So what I was thinking is I could, you know, I'd have to figure out a transition. You know, obviously I'd have to get the work done and then transit. But see, I could sell that property to help fund, you know. But as far as, I thought about, honestly, right now I'm transitional, but if I could do a phase 1 and a phase 2 where I can get guys for a few months, you know, more intense. Sharon Cranfield, I've been talking to her, and now that we're on our own, she told me I can get Recovery Works to back us, different grants, and you know, she said, I want to help you, you know, because the need is so great for men, you know, in our community.
Is Sharon's house independent of Ken's group?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and Ken, like I said, we've broke off, because I've been doing this house for 3 years now. Ken, he kind of kept me from going for the grant money. It was he was afraid that maybe the state wouldn't allow us to still have a faith-based ministry, but Sharon assures me that they're not, you know, that's the last thing they're wanting to do. We got an epidemic, you know, and they're willing, just like they are for the school corporation. The government is willing to give grant money anywhere they can help out, you know.
Have you had an opportunity to speak with legislators like Rotz or Lysing or Zemke? Yeah. They're good folks to talk to too about kind of what's happening on the state level. That might help you, but.
Yeah, like I said, my hands have been tied.
Yeah.
And now they're loose.
Yeah.
So what, you know, I'm looking at, doing big things with them.
And well, Mike, one thing, just if you would move your operations and make that third floor into something residential, for what I'm reading too, because of its proximity to our middle school, we could not have registered sex offenders on site there. You noted that. I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, I can't.
Right.
I can't, I'm not able to house sex offenders with other men. The last thing that, these guys have let me know that they're not gonna live, and think about this, I wouldn't move a child molester in my house. So that's, and there needs to be a home for these guys too, but.
Just the proximity of that is something I wanted to make
No,
note of, though.
no.
Somebody would ask that question.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't do that now. I mean, I've been confronted with that.
Yeah.
I've been confronted with that. And, we work with the Drug Coalition. My wife is on the Food Council. We're tied into the community pretty good.
Are you working with Jason over there at the shelter?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, he comes up. It's really a good setup because when they're ready to leave the shelter and they get a place, they come up and we're able to furnish their apartment
Oh, right.
and give them
with the furniture
clothes.
ministry, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they were just up the other day and it was like, we're grateful you guys do this because, it's rough enough for people to get a place, but then to furnish it,
Yeah.
it's.
What % of your funding comes from churches, would you say? Do you know? Off the top of your head?
Probably, I'd say maybe a quarter of it.
Okay, so you're not reliant just on that, okay.
No, actually, I was in prayer the other day, and I'm a person of faith. I just believe when we got in this building over here, the Faith Christian School, Ken he failed to tell me they were 4 months behind on everything. And, we went in and painted everything, got everything kind of renovated a little bit last year. And within 2 months, the 4 months was caught up and we were, and it just, just by faith, and I have, we've got a few people that Ryan and Shalina, once the building, I've had 2 or 3 people share with others that we were going to try to get the building, and these guys don't even go to church, and they've come up to me offering to, one guy owns a tree trimming company, and he offered to use his bucket truck so we could get on the roof and help us repair the roof, just because his kids have been coming to the youth services. So it's just I think what it'll do, not only will we'll be able to reach others in the community that need rent, but it'll show the church of our community as a whole. And I think more churches will get behind it once they see, what's going on. But that's just an opinion, but.
I think for myself, I'd like to see a little more of the financial, just, details. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It'd just be nice to see a little more detail on the financial. I also, have what your thoughts are on the impact to the local community right there, that immediate community. What you feel is going to impact them, plus or minus, positive or negative,
Oh, it'll be a positive. I see, well, there's always kids from the junior high coming down there and they're sitting back there, they busted out a glass and they're just kind of lingering right there. And I guess they just hang out in that parking lot out back. But, when you got somebody there and they can come in and here's the thing, what you got is, you've got to, dealing with these men that I deal with, coming out of jail and prison and rehab, what you've got is you've got kids, you've got generation after generation of kids that really don't have a positive environment to go home to. And then if you give them that right in the middle of Connersville, you know, and I'm not saying we would have it open every day, but once you're in there, you can have, with that gym, we could have, you know, a dance once a month. I mean, there's just so many possibilities of impacting the community on all levels, you know. Once you impact the children, the parents are gonna see that, and, you know, which I deal with the guy. My main part of this ministry is the Freedom House. You know, do I go to the youth services on Saturday night? Yes, I do. And these kids, I mean, I just try to love on them, because you can see the brokenness in a lot of them. You know, so financially, I mean, you would like to see
A little more
what we
detail.
pay.
No, where your income, your revenue's coming in to pay for such. Because this is a pretty, like we've all highlighted, it's a major building. It's a major undertaking, lots of repairs needed, you know. Of course, Fayette County School Corporation is always gonna be labeled on it for a long time coming, unless you have it for a long time yourself. So that's my biggest concern, is you're gonna get in there and get a little bit, you know, too much, take on too much too quickly. And then, you know, so I'm worried about that financially, and so if you can explain that in a little detail, either, you know, another time, or send some data to us, something to show where your money's coming in, your revenue to pay for this building, how you're gonna do repairs. I think we had a pretty large number of just repairs to bring the building up to par.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, is it got code, is it?
Right now, it's not handicapped accessible. I mean, that's one piece for that upper floor area in the gym. But there's heat units that need replaced.
Yeah.
And we haven't run all the utilities in there for quite a while, so.
You're just doing the bare minimum to keep the building.
But even there in the last year, we were running a pretty small group of people there, a very small group of people on that first floor, so I can't even give you accurate costs, but I do know like the gym needs the heating units replaced.
Right.
So there's a lot of those things that need done, that as the longer it sets, the more that's gonna need done to it, because.
Yeah.
Even in this financial thing, if you know, if Richie knows certain grants and could tell you this grant is available and it'll provide $50,000 a year, and then this grant is available. I mean, some idea of, and what your current revenue is and how you pay for the things that you're paying for, that gives us an idea of where you are right now. It's obviously, this is a bigger space, it's gonna take more money. Yeah. That would be helpful, just so that we knew that this was something that is viable, because yeah, if you get in there and you can't do it, or you've got to repair and all the furnaces are out and you're looking at, you know, I don't even know what furnaces cost for a building that size.
A lot.
Yeah.
And honestly, we've been burned previously with another old school building that was taken over by a group, and now it's sitting in rack and ruin, and, you know, it's sad.
Right.
But that casts a bad feeling on the school corporation. Well, no, we don't own that thing anymore, but to everybody in Fayette County, it's still the old such and such school, even though it was purchased by an independent person who was apparently successful at it for a short period of time, but then their financing collapsed and a lot of things collapsed, and it's been sitting empty and just an eyesore since then. And I think that's clearly not something that you want, but you know, it has to be a concern of ours, because we've had this happen to us before. best of intentions, and you run a really good program, but this is just an incredibly expensive, could be an incredibly expensive proposition to do, even with clearly a lot of the volunteer labor and materials and the like, and maintenance things that you have in place where you're not gonna have to pay people to maintain this building. That's gonna be part of the ministry.
Yes.
But even aside from that, there's just an awful lot. It's not a cheap place.
So I'm thinking, as I listen to you and with Jeremy, is, maybe taking that building, what would be maybe some stages of work in it with the funding? That might be helpful for
Yes.
me at least to visualize.
Yeah.
Because you can't take, that third floor, there's stuff up there from the 1970s, and it's not being used, as you can see.
Yeah.
Trish, did you ever wander up to that third floor?
Yeah, there's no heat up there.
Yeah, there's no heat, but your first floor is very doable it's got the individual room units and some of the rooms with heat and air, those are in good shape. So I think that might help. I don't know. what's
Yeah, I
on
think the
boards we have,
phases
but
would be
some
good.
Phases of how is that something you could put together, maybe some planning?
Oh, yeah.
And if you need to get back in to walk through it, you just let us know, and you can get ahold of us, and we'll get Brian Hensley out there to go through it with you again.
Yeah.
So I think it's not that we're not opposing to it, we just need more data, more information.
All right. Yeah, it'd definitely have to be a phase. And the second floor is in good shape,
It needs some work.
There's the conference room and then,
Gym floor needs some work.
definitely, yeah, the roof and the gym floor needs addressed, It was getting bad when I was in there last time, before all this rain, so.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to come in and share the information, and yeah, we'll look forward to anything else you can provide us with.
So we want to shoot for maybe the June 8th board meeting to.
If you think
you're
you can
welcome
get
to
it
come back, or
together
if
in
you
the
want to
next
send some
meeting.
send some more information in that the board can consider during the, next month.
Okay.
That's an opportunity if the board so desires.
Yeah.
If you're able to come back in and
Yeah, I can do
maybe
it.
put together some of that, and if you send it out to me in advance, I can get it out to the board to review it in advance of June 8th.
Okay,
It is June 8th, isn't it, Cindy? Okay.
all right.
All right, thank you, Mike,
Thank you.
really
Mike.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, we had our one public comment, but I'll just repeat this. Persons wishing to make the board aware of suggestions, ideas, or comments may address the board at this time. Comments which involve personnel or students must be discussed in private. Seeing no others, we'll move on to report items. Superintendent discussion group reports. Principal director reports.
I'd like to say that things are getting back to normal quickly. We had a great prom, the kids were well behaved, they had fun. Tomorrow night, we have Olympics at the football field.
Oh, yay.
And we don't have as many teams as we usually do, but I think there's over 15 teams. We're on the football field for the first time in a long time. Kids are looking forward to it, and to me, that's just a sense of normalcy. So we'll have that, and we're gonna have a very close to normal graduation ceremony,
I know, super excited.
pending county staying blue.
We are blue again for tomorrow.
Awesome.
So, and it's gonna be a nice day tomorrow too. It should be a great evening out there, so. Is that 7 o'clock or 6?
I think it starts at 6.
Okay.
All right, no others? We'll go on to Director of Operations report. Anything tonight?
I simply have the fund report and took care of everything on this earlier, so.
All right, thank you. Tim's not here. How about superintendent report?
Just briefly, want to commend Adam Dolphy and Levi Thompson for the work they do with our band program, our musicians. Really nice programs last night. The high school had their program in Spartanburg, and I think I see, we didn't get to hear them last year. And then everything they've been doing this year for contests has been virtual. So I know Levi was really excited to be out there, but the kids were, you could see it on their faces, how much fun they had. And I see really marked improvement with our kids, under their direction too. They, our Winter Guard did a great job with their show performance, and I just think fine art's such a big part for so many kids. We're a basketball community, everybody thinks basketball does, but those kids work hard, and I just commend them. And then we have our middle school choir program coming up Thursday evening at 7, and then Friday night is our high school performance at 7.
Yes.
So they'll be in each of their auditoriums, so come out to those if you can. I'm looking forward to those. So just want to shout out with it. And then again, Scarlett Lux, she makes such an impact on so many of our young kids' lives, and those kids love her. So that's it.
All right, for the good of the cause?
I'd like to commend Randy. When I attended the prom, which I always do, it's a lot of fun. And it was just so heartening to see the kids having such a good time. And the decorations were good, the band was very loud, the DJ was very loud, but the kids were, and they were saying it's like normal. It was just so cool for them to have that experience. And it's interesting the difference in the footwear, because prior to the pandemic, a lot of people tried to wear fashionable footwear. There were more flip-flops and Converse All-Stars underneath prom dresses than I had ever seen, because the kids were just going to be comfortable and have a good time. But Michael and Cindy and everybody involved with the prom just did a fantastic job. The kids clearly were having a blast, so good job.
The building trades home up on 35th Street. I go by there 3 times a week for the last several years, but it's a great looking house. They've done a great job. The garage, the house matches with the siding, and I don't know how close they are, but it looks pretty close when I drive by.
About putting it up for sale soon. So
Okay, it's
we'll
a
go
really
fast.
nice looking little house up on
It is.
35th Street if you guys can drive by.
Yeah,
Blue, it's kind of it's the color of Scott's jacket.
cool,
And, it looks really good.
great.
To
White
see the
windows,
before
it's-
and after.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It's, but nice job by the building trades class and the teacher.
That's great. No other comments, you know where we are, Chris. I'd like to seek that motion.
I will seek a motion to close the activity.
I'll second that motion.
Dennis isn't here, so Mark seconded.
I got your back, Chris.
All right,
All right.
all those in favor signify by raising your hand or say aye.
Aye.
And meeting is adjourned.